Welcome to the audiobook of New Social Studies, Grade 10. Unit 2, Lesson 4, page number 51, Contemporary Development Goals and Nepal. Introduction. Poverty is the major obstacle for development. Millions of people in the world are trapped in the prison of poverty. With the objective of reducing poverty, UN General Assembly set international development goals in 1990 AD. Similarly, United Nations Millennium Summit held in 2000 AD issued a historical Millennium Declaration. The declaration set 8 goals with measurable targets and clear deadlines for improving the lives of world's poorest people. To meet these goals and eradicate poverty, the leaders of 189 countries had signed on it and committed to help achieve the Millennium Development Goals (Mdgs) by 2015 AD. There are 8 goals with 21 targets and a series of measurable health indicators and economic indicator for each target. Nepal is one of the 189 countries committed to the Millennium Development Goals (Mdgs). Nepal, despite suffering from a number of problems, has achieved significant progress on most MDG targets. Some targets have been met in advance and others have been met within the 2015 deadline. Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) and Nepal's achievement. MDG 1. Eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Nepal's target by 2015 AD. Reduce the population living under poverty line to 21%. Nepal's achievement 23.8%. Source NPC, National Planning Commission, NPC 2013 AD. MDG 2. Achieve universal primary education. Nepal's target by 2015 AD. Provide primary education to all children. Nepal's achievement. Net enrollment rate in primary level 96.2% and literacy 88.6%. 15 to 24 age group. Source NPC 2013 AD. MDG 3. Promote gender equality and empower women. Our target by 2015, equality in children for the enrollment in school, eliminate gender disparity. What we achieved, enrollment ratio of boys and girls in primary education 1.03 and females in non-agriculture sector 44.8%. Source Ministry of Education 2015 AD, CBS 2011 AD. MDG 4. Reduce child mortality. Reduce child mortality rate by 1/3, 54 per 1,000. This was our target by 2015. What we achieved is 38 per 1,000 under 5 years. Source CBS 2014 AD. MDG 5. Improve maternal health. Our target by 2015, reduce maternal mortality rate by 1/4, which is 213 per 1 lakh birth. What we achieved, 258 per 1 lakh live birth. I will repeat, we achieved 258 per 1 lakh live birth. Source WHO 2014 AD. MDG 6. Combat HIV/AIDS, malaria and other diseases. Control the spread of disease, prevention and eradication. This was our target by 2015. What we achieved, HIV prevalence among men and women aged 15 to 24 years 0.20%. Source Concept Note of 14th Periodic Plan. MDG 7. Ensure environmental sustainability. Nepal's target by 2015, forest cover area 40%, and availability of drinking water 73%. Our achievement: forest cover are 39.6% and drinking water service is 83.6%. Ministry of Forest, 2015 AD was the source. MDG 8, Global Partnership for Development. Our target by 2015: develop global partnership for development. What we achieved: total foreign aid mobilization 55.3%. Ministry of Finance, 2015 AD was the source for this information. Sustainable Development Goals 2016 to 2030 AD. The Sustainable Development Agenda has been under global discussion for more than 2 decades. The Sustainable Development Goals were first formally discussed at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio de Janeiro in June 2012 and in the United Nations General Assembly in September 2014. Ahead of the Millennium Development Goals (MDGs) deadline in 2015, the UN Open Working Group (OWG) for Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) agreed a proposed set of 17 SDGs and 169 targets on a broad range of sustainable development issues for post-2015 till 2030. The SDGs are to replace the MDGs once they expire. Although the goals and targets of the SDGs have been agreed in the UN General Assembly in September 2015, their indicators and implementation strategies are yet to be worked out. 17 new Sustainable Development Goals are also known as Global Goals. Nepal has taken a long-term vision to upgrade from a least developed to a developing country by 2022 AD. During this period, as these goals are comprehensive, ambitious, and challengeable, it requires huge amount of resource to complete. By 2030, goals have been set to establish Nepal as an inclusive, equitable, and prosperous with medium income and welfare state. Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) of Nepal. SDG 1. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. Major target: reduce extreme poverty for all people everywhere by 2030 AD, including measured $1.25 per day income. SDG 2. End hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Major targets: end hunger by 2030 and ensure access by all people safe, nutritious and sufficient food all year round. SDG 3. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all age. Major target: reduce by 2030 the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 1 lakh live births. SDG 4. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Major targets: all girls and boys complete free, equitable, and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcomes. SDG 5. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Major targets: end all forms of discrimination against all women and girls everywhere. Ensure women's full and effective participation and equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision-making in political, economic, and public life. SDG 6. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Major targets: achieve universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all. Achieve access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene for all and end open defecation. SDG 7. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Targets: universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. SDG 8. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Major target: sustain and achieve per capita economic growth with at least 7% GDP growth per annum. Eliminate the worst forms of child labor. SDG 9: build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Major targets: develop quality, reliable, sustainable, and resilient infrastructure, including regional and trans-border infrastructure, to support economic development and human well-being. SDG 10: reduce inequality within and among countries. Major targets: achieve and sustain economic growth of bottom 40% of the population at the rate higher than the national average. SDG 11: make cities and human settlement inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Major target: access for all to adequate, safe, and affordable housing and basic services, and upgrade slums. SDG 12: ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Major target: achieve by 2030 the sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources. SDG 13: take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Major target: strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazards and natural disasters. SDG 14: conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Major targets not relevant for Nepal. SDG 15: protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. Major target: ensure by 2020 the conservation, restoration, and sustainable use of terrestrial and inland freshwater ecosystems and their services, in particular forests, wetlands, mountains, and dry lands, in line with obligations under international agreement. SDG 16: promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive. Major target: significantly reduce all forms of violence and related death rates. Reduce corruption and bribery in all their forms. SDG 17: strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Strengthen the inland resource mobilization by the international support for improving the internal capability for collecting tax and revenue in the developing countries. Activities, page number 55. 1. Why do you think that the United Nations set Millennium Development Goals, MDGs, to be achieved by 2015 AD? Discuss in the class and present the conclusion in points. 2. You may have set some goals in life. What are the goals set for coming 10 years? Present the indicators of the plan and process of implementation in your class. 3. Search the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, from the internet and other source and present in the class. Exercise. Very short answer questions. 1. What do you mean by Millennium Development Goals, MDGs? 2. Present your opinion on the goals set by Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, 2016 AD to 2030 AD. 3. How many goals are there in the SDGs? 4. Which goal, in your opinion, of Sustainable Development Goal is the most appropriate in the context of Nepal? Clarify your opinion in a sentence. Short answer questions. 1. Did Nepal achieve the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs? Present your logics. 2. Among the SDGs, which goal do you think the most important? Why? Compare with other goals and write. 3. What should Nepal do to achieve the set goals on time? Discuss in the groups and present the conclusion of the groups. Community work. Meet any 3 intellectuals in your community and ask them the following questions. Prepare a report including their answers and your conclusion as well. A. What plans and programs need to be made and implemented to upgrade Nepal from least developed country to developed country? B. What should be the role of people for this? End of Unit 2, Lesson 4. This podcast is dedicated to visually impaired students. So if you know anybody who needs this book to listen and learn, please share the link and also please subscribe the channel. Thank you and all the best.